Hey, what is it up, lovely people? You're watching Tech Savvy. This is your host and host Himanshu, and today we'll be talking about a really unknown currency. So that is Bitcoin. I don't know how many of you have heard about it. The video is going to be really interesting. And by the way, if you're new on this channel, a sub to the channel would be epic. So without wasting any of your time, let's get started. Firstly, what is Bitcoin and why is Bitcoin? Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a currency designed to pay for goods and services, just like euros, rupees, or US dollars. But that's where similarities end. Bitcoin, unlike a traditional currency, is decentralized. That means no government or central bank controls the currency supply. So I'll be telling some of the risk of investing in Bitcoins at the last. So stay to the last because half information is fatal. Next is digital. There are no physical bitcoins or bitcoin bills. The currency lives entirely online, tracked by blockchains, continuously growing groups of records that provide a complete history of each bitcoin. Imagine, for example, that you could use the serial number on a $10 bill to look up every single time it changes hand. And that is even the same case of rupees. You see a very small serial number at the bottom left. So that is how you get a serial number in Bitcoin. Next is pseudo anonymous. Bitcoins are tied to wallet ID rather than your personal information, but this doesn't make it entirely anonymous. Bitcoin was developed in 2008 by someone with the name called Satoshi Nakamoto. He is the founder of Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay. This person published a paper discussing how Bitcoin could work and just a year later started being traded and mined. The reason people are so drawn to Bitcoin is the lack of middlemen and the banks with hefty fees. Since it exists entirely online, your wallet ID, more on that later, is what is you used in transaction, not your name and other information unless you give it. So the biggest benefit is here that Bitcoin's transaction cannot be tracked in any of the way. But there's also a risk behind it. Stay till the last to know the risk of investing in Bitcoin. Next point, is Bitcoin really anonymous? Actually, no. Bitcoin isn't actually completely anonymous. Talented hackers and government agencies have the means to track pretty much anything, including Bitcoin. Although Bitcoin transactions are randomly transmitted over the peer-to-peer network, making it seemingly anonymous, the system doesn't always hold up. If a hacker can connect multiple nodes to the Bitcoin network, the combined data collected from these different nodes might be enough to determine where a transaction originated and where is it going to end. Bitcoins can be linked to real identities if those identities are used in combination with the Bitcoin address in some way. This includes address used to deposit or withdraw money to or from an exchange or wallet. Next is, how do you get a Bitcoin? You can buy Bitcoin with cash. You can use it like now the Indian value for Bitcoin, a shocking price. A 1 Bitcoin in India is equals to 9,55,182.21. Pretty huge number. But trust me, this is not as huge you think, because Bitcoin isn't a very stable value because it keeps on fluctuating and the rate of fluctuation of it every day is 30%. Most of the business investors think that a fluctuating source of income is never a good investment. We were going off topic. How can we get Bitcoins? The main options are a software wallet stored on a hard drive or computer, an online web-based service, or a vault service that keeps your Bitcoins protected offline, or multi-sig wallets that uses a number of keys to protect the account. Basically, there is an algorithm which keeps on mining Bitcoins. In the world, the entire world, presently there are only 21 million Bitcoins, and there won't be more or there won't be less. But the thing here is, bitcoins are such a currency which cannot be traced, or except the talented hackers or the agencies. Now, everything has pros and cons, but the first two have the most drawbacks. You'll want to back up your computer regularly if you store bitcoins on your computer, and online services are susceptible to hackers, as you know. Even if you are an everyday user, these online services are your best option. As long as you don't need complete anonymity and don't mind the long setup procedures. However, some people believe that this erases the point of Bitcoin and its anonymity. You are probably wondering how much a single Bitcoin is worth. As I told you, one Bitcoin is equals to 9,55,182.21 Indian rupees, a pretty huge figure, but as I said you, it keeps on fluctuating and the rate of fluctuation is 30%. So when you will never know that when you became a millionaire and when you come on the road. And you must be thinking, how can a person mine currency? Bitcoin mining is like digging for gold online, hence the reason it's called mining. With paper money, a government decides when to print and distribute the money, but Bitcoin doesn't have a central regulator, which is what allows anyone to start mining. Bitcoin miners use a special software to solve math problems. Your computer must correctly come up with the right combination of 64 digits and are issued in a certain number of bitcoins in order to exchange for them, solving them correctly. But don't worry, there's not an endless amount of bitcoins just floating around in the cyberspace. Once there are 21 million in existence, there can't be any more till the year of 2421. These puzzles aren't easy to solve, and as I said above, do require a special software. It's so difficult that many people can't accomplish it entirely on their own. Instead, mining pools have arisen where groups splits their computer power. Once the puzzle is solved, the winnings are divided based on the amount of computing power each contributed to the calculation. Don't think that Bitcoin is an easy way to get rich. Its possibility to get rich is really less. It's possible you would need to spend more on specialized computer equipments than you get a Bitcoin. Will it be really worth it? As you spend a lot of electricity in computing that computer, you will get a really less amount of Bitcoin. Next thing, is Bitcoin mining legal? Now,
initially, RBI has banned cryptocurrency in India on April 6th, 2018, but now, after Supreme Court's new decision, Bitcoin mining is completely legal in India.
states, international laws differ in the treatment of the Bitcoin, as I said. That said, laws regarding Bitcoin are still evolving, and the uses and the distribution of it is not regulated and is still fairly risky, especially when it comes to taxes. But where the biggest issue arises is the purchases people make with Bitcoins. Now let me tell you, dark web, a place where everyone must not visit. So most of the things like arms, illegal drugs, and all these illegal activities take place on dark web, and the entire transactions which have been done is based on this Bitcoin, because as I said, Bitcoin is untrackable. Next thing is, how can you use a Bitcoin? The US Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Force Enforcement states that as of 2020, using Bitcoins to purchase well-natured goods and services is not illegal. However, those who mine Bitcoins and trade them for traditional currency or operate exchanges on which Bitcoins are bought and sold are labeled money transmitters and could be subject to special laws that govern the type of activity. Pretty huge statement. This doesn't include that the fact many people use Bitcoins to purchase things on dark webs. As I said you, drugs and gambling are among the most popular uses of Bitcoin. So where can you use Bitcoin legally? Probably in more places than you think. Microsoft, Dell, Reach Jewelry, and the few airline sites also accept Bitcoin as a legit payment. Also, the easiest way to get your Bitcoins turned into cash is via gift cards. For US customers, places like Gifter and Gift Card Zen offer many options. Typically, you can use these gift cards at places like Amazon, Walmart, and Target. Now, my point is, Bitcoin safe to use? Just like thieves steal your wallet, hackers will be after you for Bitcoins. So it's important to make sure you store it in a safe place. We mentioned Bitcoin wallets above, and getting one is among the more secure ways to store and use Bitcoin. Ledger is a Bitcoin security company that offers a range of Bitcoin storage devices. The Ledger Nano S is a Ledger's most secure wallet, but still, everything is not foolproof, right? Trezor is another option. It's the original hardware wallet that was built to secure Bitcoins. It generates your Bitcoin private keys offline. Now comes the last part. Should you invest in Bitcoins? Now that you know the basics of Bitcoin, you may be wondering if the right investment for you. Now there are a couple of things you need to consider before you plunge into it. Mining Bitcoin is really expensive. If you're thinking of actually attempting to mine Bitcoins, you could be spending a lot. Unless you're a supercomputer genius like me, no, it's just a joke. You'll need to buy software that will calculate the complex 64-digit codes that leads to a single Bitcoin. No, the software is not cheap. Typically it ranges in thousands. Although there are some sketchy free or cheap options, in addition you will need to consider the actual cost of Bitcoin, which, as I said earlier, fluctuates constantly. While the price appears to be climbing, who's to say it would suddenly decrease in price again? Bitcoin is not regulated by any agency. So if, for example, let me tell you, you mistakenly transferred some amount of money from one specific account to another, but you have a third party, that is the bank here, which can reverse the money back from the wrong receiver to your account. Okay, that is safe, but in Bitcoin it is a completely peer-to-peer transaction. So if your Bitcoin goes, it's gone, completely gone, unless and until that receiver feels pity on you and gives your Bitcoin back. And you cannot do anything of it if it goes. Next thing, demand is high. Since there is a limited amount of Bitcoin and after 2040 no more will be created, getting it on the floor can be a great idea. Not to mention, it will help diversity in your portfolio. It has been rumored that Bitcoin will someday, and maybe even someday soon, be bought by governments to be held as reserve, just like gold. While this could have a lot of negative ramifications, it also meant that limited Bitcoins would suddenly be in very high demand. Why isn't India promoting Bitcoins? Basically, Bitcoin is a place where taxes get saved, and this is where occurrence arise. Like most of the government's source of income is dependent on taxes, where Bitcoin takes it all away. That is the reason all the government promotes having a legal investments
rather than putting your money in vain. And let's end the video.
So that is it for today, guys. My name is Manshu. You're watching Tech Savvy. I'll catch you up in the next one.